Peace and blessings, family. My name is Jay, and today I'll talk to you guys today about the zodiac signs again. In our last video, we did Aries, so now in this one, we're going to do Taurus. And with that being said, I'm going to get right into it. Well, what is Taurus? And Taurus is an Earth sign, a fixed Earth sign to be exact. The fixed is the modality, Earth is the element. What is the fixed modality? It is the modality that comes after cardinal. Cardinal is the modality of initiation and creating and innovation, inspiration. Fixed is the modality of sustenance, sustaining, um, being sufficient, and it's also the control. It's also the controlling and possessive element, and the fixed, or not modality. And it could also, that's why whenever you are, and this will also explain why with any fixed signs in particular, they have a tendency to get, stuck at and stagnant at times according to whichever element that fixed modality may be in. But anyway, yes, with this combination, you get Taurus, which is fixed Earth. And the Earth element represents practicality, realism, stability, security, order and routine. And with that, you get Taurus, which is fixed Earth, a sign which is fixated upon its own ways of being. Fixated upon its own ways of being practical, realistic, down to earth, grounded, secure, stable, routine, and organized in whichever way it can. Moving on to the moving on to the sign that the planet, moving on to the part of the body that Taurus rules, and Taurus is planetary ruler. And Taurus rules the throat, and this is why us Taurians, or this is why Taurians have that voice which is so calming or soothing or alluring and very attractive, however you want to look at it. And then our planetary ruler is Venus, which is and Venus is a feminine planet. It's the planet that deals with love, and more so how we giving and receiving it, and then what we value, what we possess, our own, our own personal resources. And so and so when you when you know that when you get that, seeing how we govern the throat and how our planetary ruler is Venus, it's no surprise why we have these loving why our voices can be so attracting or alluring when you understand this kind of information or have this kind of information. But going back into giving and receiving love, we explain how Taurus is this will explain why Taurus can shows their love through what they actually have to offer physically, and that's so much more emotionally, like the water signs. But anyway, that's for those videos. And this is why whether that's giving and receiving to others or giving and receiving to oneself, which is where the self-indulgent part of us comes in, the hedonistic part. And so yeah, another thing to add is that since Taurus is an earth sign, it's also the earth sign that deals. All earth signs deal with it. Since it's an earth sign, it deals with the five senses. And since it's a fixed earth sign, it's the sign that relies the most on the five senses. So, how would that apply to the planet that rules it? Well, since Taurus is a earth sign, deals with reality and the physical, it's going to govern all. This is a sign that's going to govern all of itself. This is a sign that's going to govern. This is a sign of people who are going to govern their self-worth at one point in time off of what it is that they physically own and possess. This is why whenever they have a love for somebody, they show it through what they own or what it is that they can buy with the money that they own, which is food or a car that somebody may want, or a certain piece of jewelry, whatever, anything that they think is expensive. Try to win someone's heart over. They do it with physical possessions because it's an earth sign. in a nutshell. And so what and what we give, what we give back, which is something physical, we expect something physical back because that's fair trade. But anyway, go on to talking about ourselves, or going to talk about the self-indulgent part where we give and receive from ourselves. We could use like anything that does a self-indulgent as an example, like play games, or you like to let's say more lewd examples. You like to masturbate. You like to play games, like to masturbate. You like to watch entertainment television. Anything that any of those that you would like to think about. All these forms are like self-indulgent, entertaining oneself, so that they can be fulfilled within themselves. But uh, the thing is, when we start to we know anybody knows that when you start to become self-indulge too much, and then get too lost into like your own pleasures or fantasies or whatever, too lost into like your own desires, your own world, however you want to look at that, that we begin to we begin to become disconnected and lose touch with that outside of ourselves. And this could be the bigger reality, or other people, whatever the case may be. And then explaining that when it comes to loving ourselves, whether we do it through touching ourselves sexually, because it makes it stimulates one of those five senses, that one being the touch, or uh, whether we whether when it deals with us, we got to learn to not be so self-indulgent, and to know when we can no, not so much to shut off pleasure in ourselves, but to do that in moderation. And it also applies to things outside of ourselves, whether it's people or certain foods. So, and that also has to be done in moderation, so that we feel like so that we don't get ourselves into a situation where, because we're giving too much, we feel like we're being taken advantage of, whether someone's actually doing that, or we just think that's happening because we give too much and don't get anything in return, or because we might be dealing with the Taurus, and they may give us too much, and then we don't speak up and use our throat, which is what we rule. So by default, we're already in a state that we're not supposed to be in. But anyway, that goes to other things. So the whole thing here is learning moderation, but between not indulging in oneself too much, to one's own pleasures, whatever that may be, and then indulging in pleasuring others too much, whatever that may be. But just knowing how to go with the flow in any case, and to do things in moderation, not take things into our own hands. And since it's, and then explaining all that is going to help. Explaining all that will get me to my next to the next point of saying what a life lesson would be for Taurus, Taurians here. And it's and since it's a fixed sign, it's like letting go. When it's time for something to change, just let go and accept the change. Go with the flow, like I was talking. And this is a bit of a different way of saying it, but yeah, it's to accept change, to let go, and to go with the flow. Excuse me. Since I'm a Taurian myself, so this is something I gotta learn in this life. And I've been learning that, and it's more so to not be so attached to the physical side, the five senses, but more so to cultivate the more spiritual and emotional side of it. Understanding that there are things that we are emotionally attached to physically, but when it's time for those to go, with people, places, and things, through like through death, or it's always a form of death, because it's a loss. We gotta doesn't always mean physical. It simply just means that something is no longer in our life. That we can detect with the five senses. That's mainly what this is about, since we're talking about earth signs. The key is to let go, so that when anything that it is that we care about and love, um, in a physical sense, when that goes, we don't go. We don't go with it. It's like because whatever it is that we love physically, it's just something that we show our affection towards. It's still something distinct and separate from us. We are not of that, but we show love and appreciation to that. But at the end of the day, it is not us. So whether it's a person or a place or a thing in the physical, once they go, once they go, they're gone. We don't go with them. It doesn't mean that we don't care or anything, or that our our emotional attachment to them is gone or anything. But what it means is that it's more like a thing with a mastery over. It's more has to do with like a thing of mastery, emotional mastery over whatever it is that makes us emotional. Not to where we dismiss them and see them as weak, or not to where we cherish them too much and then we're too in our feelings. Whether it's in earth, whether it's earth or water, and that gets into other things too. If this still was sounding confusing, basically the whole thing is just to learn to let go of things when it's time for them to go, regardless of what kind of attachment we have to them. Because the longer we let go, the longer we hold on to something, you guys have experienced this, the longer you hold on to something, when it's time for that to go, whether it's ripped from us, it's that much more painful and that much more traumatic. And when it's time for something to go and we just let go at that time being, it'll it'll be that less painful, and as it'll be easier to move from the last point to the next one. And then explaining this is something that the opposing sign can help Taurus with. And the opposing sign of Taurus is Scorpio, which deals with water, but the modality is the same, and it's fixed water. So and shortly I'll make a video on Scorpio later because I'll be doing all the signs. But Scorpio is a sign. Thank you. Scorpio is a sign of Scorpio's fixed water. So we know water deals with the emotions and intuition and feelings and sensitivity and compassion, etc. And there's a lot of ways to say it, but Scorpio is the sign that's fixated on its own ways of, fixated on its own ways of feeling about things, and fixated on its own way of being compassionate and nurturing and protective. And then, so Scorpio is another sign that has to deal with letting go. But since we're talking about, Taurus as emotional attachment to physical things, Scorpio is a sign that actually deals with the emotions because it's the water sign. So this is a sign that's also, so Scorpio has to learn how to let go and transform their emotional state, whether it's sun sign or moon sign, especially if it's moon sign. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But the whole thing is here, when it comes to the emotions, Scorpio can help Taurus learn how to transform their emotional state towards the things that they care about, physically. And then Taurus can, since Taurus is like a fixed earth sign which deals with stability, Taurus, since it deals with stability, it can help Scorpio. It can help sign Scorpio. And if you know any Scorpios, you know how intense they are, and how intense and plutonic, the scorpionic types of people can be. And so that deals with intensity, and intensity is also deals with instability as well. And what happens is you bring the sign of stability towards instability, and vice versa. It brings like balance. It brings both a dual perspective. That's the whole thing. What opposites attract. So, once I say it one more time, it's like Scorpio will help Taurus transform its emotional state, ultimately for better towards anything that it cares about physically, and then Taurus can help Scorpio bring more stability to their internal state, because Scorpio deals with water, in a nutshell. So that's the thing. Just learning how to not be too loving towards oneself or others, but also with the things that you love, what shows what you value. When those things, like when those things time to go, let them go and transform, grow wise and more mature from it. And there you go. If you guys like this video, I'm glad I could please you. And if not, feel free to voice what you didn't like, because I'm always open to feedback, and that's always appreciated. Until next time, I'm going to talk to you guys later. I love you guys. Peace.